Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Farhan. I'm from University of Groningen, and today I'm going to be presenting my thesis research, which the title is The Influence of Cross-Border Acquisitions, Mergers and Joint Ventures on Market Valuation of Southeast Asian MNEs, the case of Malaysia and Indonesia. So the background and problem of this research is first that there has been rapid cross-border expansion of MNEs originating from Malaysia and Indonesia in the last 2 decades. The second one, the GDP growth of these two countries, Malaysia and Indonesia, has been averaging around 5% in the last decade. And also, there has been marvelous stock market performance in the two countries, 14.07% of average in Indonesia between 1998 and 2017, and 10.13 average annual return for Malaysia between 1978 and 2017. However, to date has been little research about how the announcement of cross-border investment influenced the valuation of MNEs in this region. So this brings the research question: to what extent does the capitalization of Indonesian and Malaysian public multinational firms are affected by the announcement of cross-border acquisitions, mergers, and joint ventures? Does the value of the outward investment and the presence of free trade agreements positively moderates the effect of the announcement of cross-border expansion on stock price? So what is the aim of the research? The first one is aim to help investors know whether cross-border investment conducted by the companies that they invested in had an effect on their shares, which later affecting their wealth. And the second one is this research also aimed to help for business managers in the finance fields, analysts, and other finance practitioners to know whether cross-border investment has effects on a firm's capitalization. And the scope of this research is limited to, first is Compass 100 Index, also known as CKKM 100, period August 2021 to January 2022. Compass, this index means that top 100 Indonesian public companies by market capitalization in this period. Also for Malaysia, I use FBM KLCI index, period August 2021 to January 2022. It means top 30 Malaysian public companies by market capitalization in this period. And also for the time scope, I observed the data from year 2001 and between 2001 and 2021, with 2 gaps between 2007 and 2008. That's the first gap, and the second gap is year 2020. So the reason why I applied this gap is the first one is to avoid global financial crisis, and the second gap is to avoid coronavirus pandemic crisis, which may cause biased observations and unreliable results. So these are the variables that I use in the research. For the dependent variable, I use stock price change in percent. For the independent variable, I use cross-border investment announcement. It's dichotomous data. And for moderator variables, I use 2 moderator variables here. The first one is ratio of the value of the transaction to total assets. So it's a ratio data. And the second moderator variable is presence of FTA. This is also dichotomous or dummy variable. So the hypothesis 1 of my research is that cross-border investment announcements have a negative effect on a firm's market capitalization. So this was based on the similar research conducted by IBAR and VCC in 2009. And Hypothesis 2 of this research is that the ratio of value of the transaction of mergers and acquisitions to the acquirer's total asset strengthened the relationship between cross-border acquisition announcement and the change of a firm's stock price. And the third and last hypothesis of this research is that CBAs, mergers and joint ventures to a target country that belongs in the same free trade areas as the acquirer's country, in this case Asian, strengthened the relationship between the announcements of cross-border expansion and stock price change. So here's the conceptual model. In the left-hand side, independent variable as the predictor, CBA announcement. And we also have two moderators here. The first one is presence of FTA and ratio of acquisition value to company's total assets in percent. And also the outcome, the DV here is stock price change in percent. So the methodology of this research, the first one, for the data of announcement of cross-border investment and stock price data collection was done through Bureau van Dijk's Zephyr database. And data of total assets of the companies was carried out using Bureau van Dijk's Orbis database. So I applied a number of necessary filters in this database so that the data fit the research requirement. And initially, I got the sample size of 68 completed and confirmed cross-border investment announcements conducted by 37 companies. So these companies are Malaysian and Indonesian. But there were 11 missing values. So I took them out from the sample. So I ended up with 57. The final sample size was 57. So here's the regression model. On the left-hand side, the PRCCHG is price change, stock price change is in percent. And the beta 1 is the constant. The B2 here is the independent variable. B3 and B4 is moderator 1 and 2. B5 is interaction between independent variable and moderator variable 1, namely cross-border investment announcement and acquisition value. And beta 6 is interaction between independent variable and moderator variable 2. And E is error term. So the result of this research is that the announcement of cross-border acquisitions, mergers, and joint ventures had a positive effect on the stock price. And this result was contrary to our hypothesized outcome, hypothesis 1, which was based on the findings of IBAR and VGG, 2009. So, and then the ratio of the value of acquisition to total assets, moderator 1, and presence of free trade agreement, moderator 2, remain insignificant throughout the analysis. Yet the signs were aligned with hypothesized direction. So, thus being said, hypothesis 2 and 3 were partially confirmed. So the conclusion, the study has attempted to find the relationship between the announcement of cross-border investment and market valuation of Indonesian and Malaysian MNEs. And we found statistical evidence suggesting that CVI announcement had a positive effect on the stock price of Indonesian and Malaysian MNEs, with the average of 3%. Lastly, research on cross-border investments in this region is valuable since Indonesia and Malaysia hold the key to Asian development and integration in the global economy in the upcoming years. So this marks my last presentation. And since this is my first research, any feedback would be appreciated. Bye-bye.